welcome to Book Obsession. So today's review is going to be a little different. Normally I review books and you are at the right channel, but I just bought the 7-inch Amazon Fire. It's on sale right now, I know, at Amazon and Best Buy, both for $33.33. I picked it up originally because my daughter is allowed to read on them at school, and I thought it would be so much easier for me to send a $34 tablet to school than a $200 tablet. And then when I started messing around with it, I really thought there was a lot of cool features, so I wanted to share it. There were some cons, so I want to share those too. Like I said, I bought this myself, so nobody paid me to do this. I also bought the 10-inch one for my husband, so I'll do a quick little comparison between those two. Before, I want to let you guys know, this is what I was using before, which is my HP Stream, and I loved it. It's just a little heavy and a little bulky, and so I think that was the first thing that I noticed about the Fire. The other things that you should know about my old tablet was that in order for me to get to the SD card, I had to pull off the back and then put it in. Okay, so if I get this all off in one piece, the SD card goes in there. All right, so the Fire has this quick little boop, boop, and then you just put your SD card in. So you can add space to it. So does the 10-inch. This is 8 gigs. I believe the 10-inch is 16 gigs. If you're reading, it is quite a bit of space. Truthfully, I put probably 100 books on here and I didn't have a single problem. I wanted to check in and see how it acted. The one big thing that I think that you guys need to know is that this is ad supported, and so are the cheaper Kindles, so they act a lot alike, which is when you hit the power button, the first thing you see is an ad. Now that does not affect anything else in the tablet, at least that I've seen. You just flip it up and it goes away. If you click it, it will take you to that ad, just like YouTube or anything else. The other real quick thing that I want to mention before I get into anything else is that when I picked this up, one of the first things that I did was go to my Prime account, because we have Amazon Prime, and I wanted to get to use those free books because I haven't since I didn't use an actual Kindle device. And I couldn't find the button that said Prime Readers, and my husband's had it. So I call up Amazon, they answered really quick within a minute. The problem began that the woman didn't quite understand what my issue was. So after going through 15 minutes of her thinking I didn't know how to get books off of Amazon, which the books loaded perfectly fine. I've bought lots of books on Amazon and they loaded up to the Kindle app perfect. The problem was the Prime. So we figured out that the issue is you have to be the primary on the Prime account in order for you to get those books. Which, if you are, that's great, you're not going to have an issue. But if you're not, she said the only options were to either close my Prime account completely down and then re-sign up with me as the primary. I did ask her if they could just switch it, and she said that you couldn't. Or I could go on my husband's tablet, download the books, have the books share between tablets, which she did set it up for, and then I'd be able to read them on my tablet, which I just thought that was quite a bit of work, really complex for something that should be super simple. So I wanted to tell you guys about that because, quite frankly, Amazon needs to figure out a way to just switch to the primaries or let both people access the books. As long as you're not getting more than whatever your 2 books is or whatever, I don't see why that's a problem. Anyways, so other than that, there are some really cool features. One of them is that if you have headphones in, you can actually change the page on your books through your headphones. So up and back, up and down, change the pages, which is really cool. Some other cool things is that you can download the Overdrive app. The Overdrive app acts just like it normally does. So this is my favorite app, and that's because I can put my library books and my personally owned books all in one place. So even books that I've bought on Amazon, I can save in a format and put on here, which I really appreciate. It'll tell me my expiration dates. When I load the books, the only difference is that it does not have that scroll bar. Instead, this has it where you can go by chapters. Not super difficult to do, just something for you to note. One of the other issues for some reason I'm having is not all my books, even though they're all going to be the same format, some books are loading and others are not. Now, it's only like 1 in 20 books, so it's not a huge issue for me right now, but it is something I'd like to figure out. My husband mentioned maybe finding a new app, and maybe a different app would upload them all. My issue is the Overdrive app allows me to have my library books, and I'll pretty much do anything for that. So the reason that I decided to try the Fire instead of a Kindle, because my husband had talked to me about getting a Kindle. Actually, I went and bought the Nook before I found this for $33. So The Nook is not ad supported, which is the benefit to it. And they do give you one free book a month. But other than that, they were the exact same size. They felt very, very similar, and they had the same amount of memory. So because this was on sale, it didn't make sense to pay $20 more for the Nook when I was supposed to be getting the free books with Prime on here. And other than that, they were pretty much the same, and the ad thing does not bother me. If it bothers you, then get the Nook or get the other Kindles. They have to be the more expensive Kindles though, because the cheaper Kindles do have ad support. So I couldn't get the other Kindles because I have to have a backlight. I read too much in the evening and too much at night to not have that backlight. So in order for me to use a Kindle, I would have to be buying one of the more expensive, like $200 ones, and quite frankly, it just wasn't worth it because my stream worked perfectly, so it wasn't a necessity for me. Like I said, I got this for my daughter, and then I kind of started playing with it and really enjoyed it. So now my whole house has Amazon Fires. Okay, so the other thing that I'd like to tell you guys about is the battery, and that is that yesterday I read books from the library. And then I also watched some YouTube videos. I watched about an hour and a half of YouTube videos, and I still had almost half my battery at the end of the day. So, though this is not going to save battery like a Kindle would for a week, it still does do quite well. You're not going to have to be plugged into the wall all the time or anything like that. So, overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, $33, guys. So, when you look at the price tag, the only thing I would say is that the one that's larger than this, the $60 one, that's the one that I bought my husband. It does have better Wi-Fi connection, so his can get our 5G network. This does not, but I only use it to download books from the library or watch Netflix, and for those two purposes, it worked perfectly fine. Also YouTube videos. I'm a little bit of a DIY freak. And then the other thing that the bigger one does that this one does not do is it has a little bit better response time. So I say that in that it actually, if you're searching the web or that type of stuff, it does flip a little quicker. Lastly, another con that some of you guys might have is that it does not have the actual YouTube app. Now, personally, I find the YouTube app to be useless because I can't see my notifications. It doesn't tell me when people comment or anything like that. So I'm always on my computer for that because the app doesn't do it. So this does let you go to the actual YouTube channel. So you just use the actual internet, go to the YouTube website instead of using an app. Other than that, you're going to have pretty much everything else perfectly fine. Once you get to YouTube, just like anything else, you can enlarge the screen and everything like that. Perfectly fine. It's just that one little thing. So hopefully that answers a good amount of questions. I mean, for $33, I've seen nothing that's a deal breaker or anything like that. I've actually thought about buying these for some of my other friends that are big readers. It depends on what you're doing. For my daughter to be able to read some books and have a couple of games that are apps on here, watch YouTube videos, that type of thing, it'll work perfectly, no question. If you're planning on buying some movies and that type of stuff, then you're probably going to have a storage issue. Like I said, you can do the SD thing. But, alright, so I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions or comments, put that down below. I'll help you in any way I can. My husband's more techie than me, so if you have a tech question about it, put that down below. I'll ask him and I'll get back to you. But for real, it's a phenomenal price for a good product, I guess is my point. So far, I've been completely happy with it. If you guys like this review, like it. If you have any questions or comments, leave that down below and I'll try and get back to you. And then if you want my reviews every week, subscribe. If you want more reviews like this, then put that in the comment section so that I know, because this was just kind of on a whim. Thank you all for joining me.